step up to the mic, whoever they are.
Commissioner, if you want, I'll give a summary of what was discussed. The concept would be that the Overtown Gateway Partners, LLC, would be the developer of Block 45. They would be constructing on that the 60 affordable units that are required to be built under the county settlement agreement. In addition to that, they'd be building a 150-room hotel. They'd be constructing some office space and additional market rate residential units with a ground floor commercial liner. On Block 56, All Aboard Florida would be developing again, ground floor retail liner. They would be building approximately 80 to 90,000 square feet of office space. They would be building no residential on that block and parking. And in between the two blocks, Sawyer's Walk would be which is Northwest 7th Street, would be a pedestrian walkway that would be developed in a common scheme to coordinate the two projects. They agreed that in lieu of making the project payments required under the development agreement, they would both ask for a variance to make a total payment of $5,500,000, half to the county, half to the CRA, with each developer paying half of that amount. In addition, each developer would make an annual contribution of $125,000 for 10 years to a community benefits trust to be administered and benefit the Southeast Overtown Park West. It's $125,000 per developer, so a total of $250,000 per year, a grand total of $2,500,000. They would both ask for variances. The county required 24 months to build each project from the commencement of construction. They were both asking for a variance of 36 months due to the complexity and size of the projects. All residential units in excess of 60 could be market rate units. A default in Block 45 would not be a default in Block 56, and a default in Block 56 would not be a default in Block 45. There'd be no reversion of title once each project started, but if they didn't finish it within the agreed-upon time frame, they'd be paid each, the county and the CRA, a penalty of $2,500 per day for each day until the project was completed. They would make a payment in lieu of providing the indemnity contemplated by the settlement agreement. Block 45 would be responsible for satisfying the affordable housing requirements. And if either party terminates during the investigation period, which would be 60 days, then the CRA would issue a new RFP with respect to that block. As far as
I have a question on that. I don't mean to interrupt, but why is there a 60-day investigation period?
That to do environmental and check title, things like that. The developers had asked for a longer period of time, and in the course of our discussions, we had agreed on 60 days.
The question. I didn't know why there was 60 days.
In addition, the settlement to help reach agreement between the parties, the CRA proposed making a grant of $3 million towards the Block 45 development, which would be utilized for purposes permitted under the Redevelopment Act. Either affordable housing, infrastructure, or parking.
I have a question.
Okay, I got it. Okay.
What's the indemnity payment? How much is it?
$500,000 each.
Okay, yeah, there was, yeah.
I just want to add something really. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
And what we've asked for Bill to do is also take this time to actually put this all in writing, and I would like for you guys to get it. Get the physical document before it actually goes over to the county, so that you have a chance to really review it and look at it as well before it goes over.
We're going to read the resolution into the record now.
Right. I have a resolution that's prepared now. It covers everything but the $3 million CRA grant, which we can deal with separately.
Okay.
Because that's not of urgency for the county, but that's something that we proffered.
There's some additional small things that I want to make sure that we can add in this based upon the hearing. First of all, let me say I'm glad to see that you guys were able to sit down and come up with something that makes sense. The first thing that I wanted to make sure, though, was included, because the next step would be, this would actually be sent over to the county, right? After the resolution is drawn up, it will be sent over to the county, and then after the county votes and approves it, then it comes back to the CRA to actually negotiate a development agreement, correct?
That's correct, and that development agreement will encompass the concepts that were raised in the public hearing last week. It'll also deal with issues like parking that was dealt with in the RFP and their responses. So all that will be documented, including the...
Right, so what I wanted to be clear on was once this is actually voted and approved from the city side or the CRA side, it goes over to the county, then it comes back to the CRA for the negotiations, the negotiation of the development agreement. But I wanted to make sure that we were clear, because I know from the community hearing there were a few things that came out of that meeting that we want to make sure are also included in the development agreement. Now, I mentioned several other groups earlier that we wanted to be a part of this advisory group, and I did not, and I failed to mention, I don't know if Celia is still here, but they have put together an entire group to focus on youth-related issues, and I know that you guys have already been working with them. I just want to make sure that I include that in there as well. And then I know that it was also mentioned to me around the issues of environmentals. Even though that's all in the public hearing, I would like for both groups to make sure from the public hearing that we had last week, those issues and concerns that came from the residents and the business owners and the stakeholders are also included in the negotiations for the development agreement. So with that being said, I just wanted to make sure that we put that in order. And I do know that there are two different projects, but what I have asked for the administration to do is to make sure that whatever you guys create on those two blocks, that they are culturally sensitive to the area, tie into the historical significance of Overtown as you guys begin to create, working along with the planning and zoning department in the city of Miami. So I believe Gregory Gay is the person that has been heading up that effort. I'd like to just submit this in the record really fast, though. This is from the Overtown residents and the organizations that are part of OT. Sorry. And this is all of the historic-based organizations. I just want to submit this into the record to make sure as the CRA director and our attorneys sit down to communicate and negotiate the overall deal, that these things are also included as a part of the overall agreement. So I just wanted to officially submit it in the record. And these are the same things that we talked about before. So with that being said, do we have a motion and a second on this item?
You gotta read this.
Let's read.
You got to read into the record.
You've got to read the resolution.
Okay.
You have to read the resolution.
A resolution of the Board of Commissioners of the Southeast Overtown Park West Community Redevelopment Agency with attachments approving Overtown Gateway Partners, LLC as a developer for Block 45 and All Aboard Florida Stations, LLC as the developer for Block 56, and approving the proposed variances, directing the Executive Director to attempt to negotiate a development agreement with Overtown Gateway with respect to Block 45 and All Aboard Florida with respect to Block 56, clarifying that this resolution is not intended to be an award of development rights or otherwise create any development rights in Overtown Gateway or All Aboard Florida.
So moved.
Second.
Now, the variance, let me, again, the variances were what I previously read into the record. The making project payments, in lieu of making the project payments, it's a lump sum payment of $5,500,000 to be paid one-half by each developer. The community benefits totaling $2 million.
Can you stop on the first one? That's the expected revenue front-loaded, right? That's the expected revenue
correct.
Present valued and paid up front.
That's correct.
So the city's going to get the CRA is going to get a $5.5 million upfront
The
payment.
area would get one-half of that. The county would get one-half.
Understood, correct. My apologies. But that was always going to happen that way.
Correct. The community benefits totaling $2,500,000 would just go to the benefit of within the redevelopment area.
Right.
All right, extending the time for the completion dates from a 24-month time period that the county has proposed to 36 months because of the size and complexity of these projects.
That's going to have to be approved by the county,
It
correct?
has to
That
be,
variance?
all these variances must be approved by the
Understood.
county, asking that the county and the CRA agree to give estoppel letters in connection with the declaration.
And that's 36 months for completion or for start?
36 months from the start of construction to complete construction.
Got it.
Okay? Requiring that only 60 units have to be affordable housing.
On each block?
No, 60 total. Anything over 60 can be market rate units. The 60 affordable units will be constructed on Block 45.
Understood.
Okay? Again, the payment of $1 million in lieu of making the indemnity agreement, $500,000 from each developer, $500,000 from each developer. Clarifying that once they start construction, title will not revert, but if they don't timely complete construction, they will pay to each of the county and the CRA a penalty of $2,500 per day from the outside date until each project is completed. Providing that a default with respect to one block isn't a default with respect to the other blocks. And
You're saying, I'm sorry, just to go back to the reverter, you're saying it would not revert either back to the county or the CRA
right.
or?
Once they start construction, they got to finish construction. Title doesn't revert, but they would have to pay a penalty of $2,500 per day to the county and to the CRA if they don't complete construction within the agreed time frame.
Okay.
So in essence, they're paying for the land with the upfront payment.
Right.
With the rent payments before, there'd be an acceleration of rent if they didn't meet the deadline. So here we're imposing a financial penalty of $2,500 per day or $5,000 per day if they're late as liquidated damages. So
Okay.
there's an incentive for them to finish. Okay, and then to the extent either one of these parties terminates during the inspection period, that the CRA would issue a new RFP.
Okay.
And just the attorney's telling me that I need to make sure that at least two of you guys are on the record. You talk, all right. Raphael, just make sure we're clear.
Just like for the record, each of the principals for the developer to please state that they're in concurrence with the statements that were made.
We do consent. We are in concurrence with the statements.
Wait. State your name.
Please state your name. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. My name is Mike Reininger. I'm the president of All Aboard Florida, and we consent.
A Florida corporation, right?
Yes.
And you have authorization?
No. Yeah, it's a Delaware LLC.
A Delaware corporation, and you
Yes.
have authorization from your board of directors to enter into the said subject settlement agreement as stated on the record.
Yes, that's correct.
There you go.
Don Peebles on behalf of Overtown Gateway Partners, LLC, a Florida LLC. We consent.
And you have authorization from your board of directors to enter into the settlement as stated on the record, which you've heard clearly.
I did. Thank you.
Okay, with that,
One clarification that the executive director has 90 days to negotiate this. Given all the comments, we think it's appropriate that the final development agreement be submitted to the Board of Commissioners of the CRA for final approval. So there's no misunderstanding what the final deal is with these developers. But it all has to be done and approved within the 90-day period.
It's fine.
and the only thing that I would want to add, I know we had a motion in a second, and we have agreement on the record. I would like to make sure, just as we have a community hearing to hear and see both projects, we would like, I will not be here, I would like to make sure that there is another community hearing to show both projects in the end so that everybody knows what's actually happening before we move forward. So I just wanted to make sure that would be included in it as well. So after you negotiate and you put together the deal, we just want to officially present, this is what's happening on these historic blocks. All right, with that being said, we had a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
No.
All right, this item passes, and we officially, as amended, this item passes, and we officially adjourn the CRA meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to open up the BH. I'm going to take a 5-minute quick recess so you can all change places, get comfortable.